This is not the story of a child who wanted attention. This is the story of a child who learned that being seen was dangerous, unnecessary, or pointless, and survived by becoming invisible. You learned early how to take up less space, not because anyone explicitly told you to disappear, but because the room felt quieter when you did. You learned it in small moments. The way your voice didn't change the mood. The way your emotions landed nowhere. The way your presence didn't seem to register. So you adjusted. You spoke softer. You needed less. You felt more, but showed less. And from the outside, you looked easy, independent, mature, low maintenance. But inside, something began to fracture. Here is the paradox, and it's painful to say out loud. The same invisibility that protected you as a child is the very thing that now keeps you from being fully alive. You survived by becoming invisible. Now you suffer by remaining unseen. You learned to read the room before entering it, to sense what others needed before you ever checked in with yourself, to be present without being felt. And maybe no one ever hit you, maybe no one ever screamed, maybe your childhood looked fine on paper, but something essential was missing. Not love, not shelter, not structure. Witnessing. You weren't mirrored. You weren't emotionally met. You weren't noticed in the ways that form a self. And when a child isn't seen, they don't just feel lonely, they begin to feel unreal. Psychology has a quiet name for this wound: emotional neglect. Not abuse, not cruelty, but absence. Emotional neglect occurs when a child's internal world, their fear, joy, confusion, pain, is not acknowledged, reflected, or held. Food is given, rules exist, life goes on, but the child's inner life remains largely untouched, and the nervous system adapts. Let's ground this in 3 core psychological frameworks. 1. Emotional neglect schema. Schemas are deep mental maps formed in childhood that shape how we interpret reality. An emotionally neglected child forms a silent belief: my feelings don't matter. My presence doesn't change anything. Needing is unsafe. This becomes the operating system of the self. Hypervigilance. When emotional attunement is inconsistent, the child becomes the observer. They track tone, energy, micro shifts in mood. They learn to sense before they express. Hypervigilance isn't anxiety, it's adaptation. The nervous system stays alert because attunement must be earned, not expected. Avoidant attachment. Not because the child doesn't want closeness, but because closeness never felt reliable. So they minimize needs, downplay desire, intellectualize emotion. Avoidant attachment isn't coldness. It's hope buried under self-protection. Neurologically, this reshapes the default mode network, the brain system responsible for self-referential thought. Instead of asking, "Who am I?" the brain asks, "How do I stay unbothersome?" Identity becomes conditional. Carl Jung once wrote, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." But there is another burden that rarely gets named: the unlived life of the child themselves. The invisible child grieves quietly, not for something lost, but for something that never fully formed. Invisible grief is strange because there is no clear event to point to, no funeral, no villain, no moment of rupture, just a slow erasure. You sacrificed authenticity for acceptance, expression for safety, need for neutrality. And the fear beneath it all is simple and devastating. If I am fully seen, I will be rejected. So you exist quietly, and over time, this becomes an identity rather than a strategy. Seneca warned, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." But for the invisible child, the suffering wasn't imagined, it was unwitnessed. They don't stay children forever. They become adults who look functional, even admirable. But the patterns persist. You might recognize yourself here. In relationships, you choose emotionally unavailable partners because distance feels familiar. You struggle to ask for reassurance. You fear being too much, so you become too little. In career, you work hard but stay unseen. You understate achievements. You wait to be noticed instead of claiming space. In self-worth, your value feels conditional. You measure worth by usefulness. Rest triggers guilt. In boundaries, you say it's fine when it isn't. You over-accommodate. You disappear instead of asserting. In emotional regulation, you intellectualize feelings. You dissociate under stress. You struggle to name what you feel. In identity, you know who you are to others, but not who you are alone. Here is the reframe that changes everything. These are not personality traits. They are survival strategies. And survival strategies can be unlearned. The first step is witnessing, not fixing, not forcing, but noticing. The moment you stop gaslighting yourself, the healing begins. Healing invisibility is not about becoming louder. It's about becoming real. Inner child reparenting. You begin to notice your inner states and respond. You name feelings. You validate reactions. You stay. Shadow work. You reclaim the parts of you that learn to hide. Anger, desire, need, not to act them out, but to acknowledge their existence. Nervous system regulation. Safety must be embodied, not understood. Breath, stillness, gentle routines. You teach your body that visibility no longer equals danger. Choosing softness over survival. You practice asking, receiving, being imperfectly present. And here is the truth that takes time to land. You were never invisible. You were simply unseen by those who couldn't see themselves. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "The only journey is the one within." And this journey is not about fixing what's broken. The goal is not to be fixed, but to become whole. If this spoke to something you've never had words for, you're not alone. And if you want to keep exploring the hidden architecture of the self, consider staying. Because the parts of you that disappeared are still waiting to be welcomed home.